Hi, in this video we're going to learn about the float and clear property in CSS. So let's get started. In my desktop I have a folder called CSS Clear, and there's an HTML document within that folder. It's called page.html. So let's create some markup to work on. CSS Float, and let's better write this like this. Alright, now we have the title, and let's create some divs, some container to wrap everything around. Let's give it a class of container, and let's create some more divs here. The first one would be header. So we created the header. We don't need comments for this. And then let's create one more here. Now this will be the main content. For this we will go ahead and create the div as well, and let's give it the class of content. And inside the div tag of the content we will create a few more of them. The first will be a side. Let's create a side, and then the main as well. Let's create the main tag here. Alright, by now we've successfully created 5 divs. The first one is container, and the heading and the content. Within that content there is the side and main. So let's give them the classes as well. And this will be the main, and aside will be the sidebar. Alright, and let's create the CSS file for this. Now we could have actually created a folder and place the CSS file within this, but for the sake of this tutorial we will create a CSS file without creating folders. So let's call it like css.style.css. Now let's first make sure that we reset everything, all the rules that are applied by user agent style, and let's list style elements, none, text decoration, none as well. And the next thing is to link this CSS file to this HTML folder, to this HTML document, I'm sorry. And let's link this. So the file we've just created is called style.css. So I'll open it. Now at the moment we can't see anything except the name of the title of the page has changed. So let's create something here. CSS Float and Clear. Let's refresh it. Now we can see that all of the default styles that we created have been applied. So let's go back and change a couple of these settings. So let's give the body the background of light gray. And let's target the container now. And let's give it the margin of top and bottom 0, and the left and side auto. So now we can see that. Let's give it the width as well, 1000. We can see that it has been centered, and let's give it the background of white like this, and let's give it the height as well. The height for now will be 500. So we can see now that the basic document is much improved. So let's target the header, and let's give the header the width of inherit, and the height would be 200, and background will be, let's say, let's give it the background, let's give it the color, something like, I don't know, maybe this color. This looks great. So I'll copy from the Chrome developer tool and paste it to my CSS file, and then we're done with the header. So now let's target the content. Now we know that the content has the div, and the div has the class of content. So let's give it the width of inherit, and the height for now will be 600. All right, and let's see, right? And let's give it the background as well, like white. So then let's create the footer as well. Alright, so let's change a couple of these divs blocks. So let's target the sidebar. Now I could have actually written like this, like a side, but since I have a class for this like sidebar, I can use this property. The width for this will be 25% that it takes up, and we will float it to the left. Now the opposite, like the main class will have the main div has the class of main, and this will be floated to the right, and the width will be 75%. So now let's see what we have here. So let's write something that to work on so that we know that this is a sidebar. My sidebar. Alright, and then let's create one more here. Alright, and let's copy and paste some dummy text. Let's copy this text and then paste it here. Alright, now we have a paragraph, just something to look at. You can see now that we're almost created the layout for this page, and the next thing that is left is to create the style, the footer for this page. Let's target the class, even though we haven't created a footer class for this footer. So let's create one. Alright, and let's give it the width of initial, and the height will be like 100, and the background for this will be the same as the header. So let's paste it and see, refresh what we get here. You can see now that we only have one main and the sidebar. So let's use the other color for the sidebar. So let's see this. The sidebar has the class of sidebar, the main has the class of main. So let's look at this to see what it looks like. Let's use the background of red for now, but we will change it later. So let's see what we have here. So let's use this color for this sidebar. Let's see what this looks like. Now let's give the sidebar the default height and the background color. So let's go down to sidebar and give it the height, let's say like 600, and the background that we used the array, we will replace it with the green color and refresh what we get. We have a nice sidebar now, and the main content that is floated right to it. So let's now use some margins. Now for the main, we will use, like, let's say padding will be 10 pixels, and for the sidebar we will use the same amount of padding as well. So let's refresh it. Now the problem is that we haven't used box sizing property yet. If you don't use the box sizing property, you have to consider every pixel with padding, margin, border, so it's sometimes very annoying and it takes much time. So the solution for this is to use the box sizing property. So you can supply two options, border box or content box. Now most sites use border box, so I suggest you use the border box as well for your website. So let's refresh it now, see what we get. Now we have a nice padding and margin around the content that we have here. So let's apply some text. So let's write something inside the header. Now let's call this company something like Dummy Corporation, something like this, and the description of the company is website our company explains everything you need to know about CSS. Alright, let's refresh it, and this is what we get. Now, just to make sure that everything, all content inside this header looked white, had white color, we need to do something like this. Where we have header, we need to use the property color. Now, I'll only use the white color if you have a dark color as a background for your header. Now, it changed it now. So let's use the padding for this as well, the same as we used for sidebar and main. And now we have a nice padding around the content of heading. So the last thing we have to do is to use the clear both for the footer. Now, you only use clear property for your footer, otherwise you can't do this. You can't properly use it. So even though it doesn't look like that much changed, but it's very useful. You can solve a lot of issues with this. Now make sure you use it all the time with footer. So thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you again.